Hey everyone, we're Avova Health, and I'm Anthony. Our problem statement that we're tackling is that patients face challenges in managing their blood test results due to multiple providers, complex terminology, and overgeneralized information, resulting in confusion and difficulties understanding their health status. The customer segment we're trying to target is those who are new to a chronic illness or just had a major surgery because they have multiple patient portals from multiple specialists. There's a difficult learning curve. They're required to monitor these trends closely, and the ranges are agnostic of their demographics and health changes. So our business thesis would be that patients struggle to monitor and comprehend their blood results, so they're going to buy a platform that aggregates their blood data and offers a simpler analysis.
So you can see here on the dashboard page is an overview of your most recent test, as well as overviews of how in or out of range your tests have been getting recently. So we'll start with the back-end functionality. So here's our data aggregation of where we get the blood test from. So firstly, we are synced up with every Epic provider in the country. You can see here's a list of all the providers. So a user can go in, click on a specific provider, and then once they click the authorize button, they will log into that provider, and then they can retrieve that blood test data, and it's put into our system. We are currently planning on building out more EHR connections with Meditech and Cerner, but until then, if your blood data is not on Epic systems, you can upload a physical PDF either on your system, you take a picture of it, and we have the same process. It's uploaded, and then we extract the relevant data and put it into our database. So this data is displayed here in the timeline. So you can see here's a list of this patient's past blood tests. If we can go to this one, for example, see here is our summary of the blood test data that you've uploaded. So you can see your specific recommendations of what you should do based on like what if your blood tests are out of range of the standard range, and a summary of exactly, I guess, a little more detail of what is in range and what's out of range. And see here is test in range. We're at 92% for this test of all the tests in range. So going to a more detailed layout, you can see here we have tests, each with tooltips that provide definitions of these tests. So you can see here the definitions as well as the value, the unit, and the standard range depending on your preconditions, age, sex, and medications, and where you are in that range. You can see this test is out of range, this test is out of range here, and so on. So like I was saying there, these ranges will change based on your specific demographics. So we can go into the profile page. Here you have your sex, your birthday, which then calculates the age, and your medications and patient history. So you can see here we've added insulin and penicillin as your medications for this patient. We'll add this patient having Wilson's disease. And if you remember before, we were at 92% for the test we were looking at, and now we're at 94. The reason being, we'll go into the data. With Wilson's disease, the expected range for ceruloplasmin is now changed to reflect the specific disease. So you can see here, this is now in range. And if we remember when we were talking about insulin penicillin, these are notes under a blood test to indicate whether your test range might be higher or lower because of this medication. So now we're going to go into the analysis page. This is where it gives you trends of specific biomarkers over time. So your cholesterol over time, you can hover around and see each of these values at each date to give you an overview of like tracking these specific blood tests or biomarkers. And now something that through our customer reviews that we found was very, very important for them, specifically diseases such as like hypertension medications. There are biomarkers that are important for patients to track, such as so we're tracking glucose, hemoglobin, and with this watch list, this will prioritize these specific biomarkers on our site so that it's made important for the patient so they can see that immediately when they open the site